everyone.
Welcome, everyone, to another inspiring Wellness Wednesday. Tonight, we're honored to have a remarkable creative educator, martial artist, and cultural ambassador. His influence reaches from spoken word, from communities in Toronto, Canada, to New York, all the way to Sierra Leone. His work continues to inspire and uplift. Known to us as Unblind Tibbin. He is an accomplished educator, spoken word artist, cultural griot, and a judo master whose life bridges art, discipline, heritage, and community. I'm blind. Welcome.
Thank you. Karibu.
Katipu. Did I say it right?
Karibu. Yes.
Awesome. So, Unblind, it's been a pleasure. You know, we've talked a little, I've just mentioned about you being known to people as a spoken word artist, but you also I describe you as a modern day griot, a keeper of our stories, history, and culture. Tell us a little bit more about your journey as a griot, what inspired its path, and how did the values and disciplines embraced eventually lead you to become a judo master. There's so many disciplines about you. When I read your bio, I'm just like, wow, this is why you have to write a book because you've lived, I think, many lives. So if you could just tell our listeners and viewers a little bit more about your journey. Tonight we're having an evening with Unblind Tibbin.
Thank you very much, Lady Sharon, and thank you for your kind invitation. I'm humbled and honored to be here on this wonderful show that promotes wellness in the community and seeks to achieve the goals which we all seek to achieve, which is mental, spiritual, and physical wellness. So, in terms of my journey, I was born in my native land of Sierra Leone, the Mountain of the Lions, way back. I don't need to precise the exact year, but way back. And I lived there till I was 6. And my family migrated to Switzerland, where my mother was working with the UN. And I'm in the 80s, like 1980. And from that point, I had an experience in Switzerland. And eventually I came to Canada to the university, and I've been here ever since. I think that what predetermined my role as a griot or jeliba, which in African tradition is a griot. The jeliba is the family of people in ancient Mali who were ascribed to the king as the storytellers. And the king couldn't be a king without a storyteller. If the king didn't have a storyteller, he would immediately not be a king. Because what the storytellers were, the jelibas were, they were the consciousness of the people, the reminders of the greatness from which we came from. So the king would have to have the Jellybat tell him about his great 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 grandparent, who was the one who defeated the lion, and the creation story of the wonderful land of Mali. If you study Mali, you'll know that Sundiata Keita, the Lion King, who unfortunately for us, Disney remade, like they take all our stories and they remake some funny stuff with it. But he was the one who was born crippled, and eventually was the soothsayer of the king said that he would be the greatest king of the land, but he would be born from the ugliest man who his father would have to marry as a third wife, and off their union would be born a great king. So the great king was Sundiata Keita, and in order for him to be a king, he needed to have a Jeliba. So for me, I just want to remind African people, people from Akibu land, from the motherland for Aminta, of how we are great and how our greatness resonates at a high frequency, such that it enables us to have a peace within our lives, and from that peace generate joy, regardless of what we've been through, whether it's the crimes against humanity, the Ma'afa, whether it's colonialism, whether it's Jim Crow, and all the other evils and wickedness which we've been through. We still have that indomitable spirit that continues to resonate on a high frequency and dictates to us that we are divine beings, and that our kings and queenship is still there to be had at any point in time. So for me, it was just about connecting us to our roots, connecting me to my roots, first of all, because I've been to Europe, I've been to Africa, I've been to North America, 3 continents, and I've seen certain things going on, especially with our people, certain modes of domination, of racism and imperialism. And I think we need to face them head on But the good thing is that we're the right ones for the job. We're the ones who have the cultural awareness and the our story going as far back as ancient Kemet, the black civilization of our ancestors, to Kush, to Nubia, to the Dogon, to the Mali, to the Oyo, to the Yoruba, to the Great Abyssinia, to the Great Zimbabwe, you name it. We have those great civilizations, and not only the civilizations, but those cosmogonies which connect us to a creator and makes us understand the creators within each one of us to manifest. And through those cosmogonies and the cosmologies, embedding ourselves within our spirit, we can have a tool to heal ourselves and heal humanity. So that's what really pushed me to do spoken word, to connect Africans with their roots, because I know as somebody who was uprooted from the continent that lots of times we fail to realize the importance and the significance and the magnificence of our great ancestors. And I know for myself, I had a great jelly on my side, which is my grandmother. That's why my
Mhm.
first book was about her, who really inspired me through the wonderful animal tales that she used to tell us, which were very subliminal, abstract tales of characteristics which we needed to master to be good people, and all those wonderful lessons. So, for me, I wanted to pass that down, and I think it's very important that we just continue to grow. I grew up listening to lots of hip hop, but hip hop has been unfortunately dominated a lot nowadays and biased towards our own self denigration. So back in my days, it was more the Public Enemies, the
Yeah,
BDP, the Grand Nubians, and the people
it
who were
is.
spitting, knowledge of self, and 5% wisdom and stuff like that. So I found it was more about me being able to transmit those messages, and that's why I got into Afrobeat. Well, I'll talk about it later because it's
Yeah, the birth of edutainment. Those were
yes,
the days of edutainment, man. I'm
exactly,
telling you.
yeah.
And I mean, like you talk about lots of travels, and you most recently, went back to Sierra Leone. You've been, I guess, going back and forth, and you've had. What would you say your this experience meant to you, and what are I think you've touched a little bit on the similarities and synchronicities, but you could touch on that as well between Canada and Sierra Leone. And what discoveries did you make about the people and the culture, and as well about yourself and your identity and life as a whole, like this recent sojourn?
Thank you. Thanks for the question. Yeah. So I've been doing a trip back to Sierra Leone in honor of my brother. Unfortunately, who transitioned in 2016, and he was very connected to connecting people like the Black Nova Scotians, the people in South Carolina, the Gucci people, and the Maroons, people who really had Sierra Leonean heritage, to get them to go back to Sierra Leone so they could connect to their source. So in that energy, I created a tour named after him, and I take Africans. The last person I took was from Trinidad and Tobago, but he had Sierra Leonean ancestry that he had traced to Sierra Leone. So we were able to work with my aunt, who's a paramount chief in the land of the Mindays, Gabo, to create a ceremony of return home for him.
That's
Like the
beautiful.
return, like the thing in Ghana, but this time in Sierra Leone, where there was he was fully teary eyed because the children sang a wonderful song to welcome him back home, and he was given a family, some land, and a ceremony, a ceremonial cloth, and this was really heartwarming for uh, for him and for me as well because regardless of me having been born in Sierra Leone, I haven't lived there past the age of 6, so it was also very heartwarming. Of course, the connection between Sierra Leone and Canada is that the Black Nova Scotians were the ones who came from the American Revolution. They fought on the side of the British. When the British lost, they came with the British, those Black Loyalists, Nova Scotia. Because of their mistreatment in Nova Scotia, they found a way to petition the Queen at the risk of their own lives and their liberty to go back to Sierra Leone. And they founded Freetown. And from Freetown, people like Thomas Peters, who's one of the founders of Freetown, the Black Nova Scotians, were connected and merged with the Sierra Leonean population nowadays. They founded the population of the Creole people who are still in Sierra Leone. As a matter of fact, my mother's heritage on my mother's side does also go back to Nova Scotia. So there is a connection
Yeah.
there that we
Mhm.
need to really leverage and find ways to really assimilate ourselves and get back into ourselves so that we can really um, not through the vehicle of the colonizer, but through the vehicle of our own volition, reconnect with our ancestors, our people, and understand that we have so much common heritage that we can use it and leverage it for us to create win-wins wherever for all of us. So it was a win for the brother who went back, it was a win for me, it was a win for the village, and everybody was able to benefit from this journey. And I think I continue to do more journeys of that nature and get more people involved, and we're working with the school there. We're giving out
Nice.
awards to young people in the community who are showing academic brilliance and other brilliances. And yeah, so it was really the opportunity for me to reconnect two similar paths, which are divergent. But when you understand the fulcrum and the nucleus, you understand that there's so much we have in common, and the commonalities can enable us to rise beyond what we think we can even imagine sometimes.
Yes. And so I guess reconnecting also, like, I mean, it impacted your identity, I'm sure, even on a deeper level, because every day you learn more, you learn more about another relative, or, it's a beautiful thing. I think it's necessary for all of us to go back into our roots, and I mean, I've seen, you know, like, I'm just curious to know, like, many people have lived their entire lives searching for purpose and inner peace. Do you feel that today you're fully walking in your I am, your true authentic self? And if so, what principles and characteristics do you believe are the foundation of achieving peace, balance, personal growth, and sustainability, and joy, and all that good stuff? I say glory to glory, like,
Wonderful
but do you
question.
feel that you're walking in your true authentic self, especially doing like the travel? Like, these are some things that people, I think we need to go and experience and connect back to our roots to be
Hmm.
able to feel the I am. Like when
Yeah,
my grandmother passed away in Jamaica, I met her in a coffin, and but learning about her made me learn more about me, my I
yeah.
am. So, do you feel that you're in your true authentic self with this experience going to back home?
Yeah, and it's very important what you say. Every time I go home, I go and sit with the ancestors, and that was the initiation of my book, Broken Coconuts on Our Grandmother's Grave. Because what in a Yoruba tradition and Creole tradition we do is we take kola nuts and we do some divination when we go see our ancestors. And this is not just child's play or just some abstract concept. This is something which is very serious and taken very we take a very dignified approach to it. So as we know, in African understanding, there is no death. There's just transition from one realm to the next. The ancestors are consistently with us. So we walk with our ancestors, and the only way we can really get support from them and benefit from them is to honor and pay homage to them for all the wonderful things they brought us. Because we don't exist in a vacuum. Our ancestors go back to the first mother, right? The first mother, whatever you choose to call her, or Set, whatever you choose to call her, Yemoya, and this is the essence of all of us. So for us to, or for me, walking with the understanding of my grandmother and my grandfather, and actually right now I'm working on a new um, album, which is taking in the voices of my grandfather, my grandmother, and conceptualizing them and making them contemporary, so that you feel like you're speaking to the ancestors in the track. So I think in African tradition, we can use music to connect with our ancestors as well. People go into trance. The ancestor comes. They talk to you, and then they give you a message, and that message is not just something artificial, something which you can use to make your life better, to improve your relationships, to improve your mental health, especially mental health, because there's lots of struggles with loneliness in this society. But you're never alone. You know, Natera is always there. The ancestors is always with you. And if you have a good way to connect with them, not a toxic way, then that relationship can blossom.
I'm glad you actually said, well, I didn't plan to touch on that, but not a toxic way, because when we lose our loved ones, um, obviously there's a time to laugh, there's a time to grieve, everything like that, of course. But we can actually have a genuine connection, like, you know, with
Mhm.
them versus a trauma filled grief connection. You also, and I know we didn't plan to talk about this as well, but you also touched on divination. Now, divination in the, let's say, the Christian sect is something that is demonized. If you could just elaborate a little bit more on when you say this is divination, this isn't something like, what does it look? What does that look like in our heritage
Yeah, in African tradition, I
tradition?
mean, Europeans have demonized everything which is African and ritualized and traditional African. So anything from voodoo, which really just means spirit, and really and truly, within the African traditions of ancient Benin, whether it's ancient Egypt, the Dogon, there's always a diviner, and that person is somebody who is firstly yourself. You yourself have the capacity to be a diviner for yourself because you are in touch with the Akashic records through your inner peace. You can tap into that divine wisdom faculty. So, in my tradition, there's a divine wisdom faculty which is within your spirit, but you can tap into it by doing divination. You can use in our system the cards. In the Yoruba system, they use the kola nuts, right? Like I talked about the kola nuts, or the cowrie shells. Then there's the Dogon who use the footprints of the pale fox, right? There's lots of different ways in which God gives us messages, and the thing which is very clear is that the binary system of computers is based on the Yoruba system of the Ikin, right? So this divine messages are not something which are just abstract and useless. These are something that are used to generate the whole of the internet. So there's an understanding, a deep understanding of divination in African tradition, which connects it to science and mathematics. As a matter of fact, some of the most highest mathematicians go and study with the Dogon. They go and study in ancient African fractals to understand the higher concepts of mathematics. So we are scientific people by nature, and this scientific nature allows us to understand better messages from God that are given to us through different mediums so that we can and we can actually encapsulate them in our lives and use them to make our lives better. The thing you'll understand is divination has no problem with divination. The problem is the mind of the people. So if somebody is trying to use these tools like Christianity, we can talk about all the Western religions that have been maligned and used to colonize, to enslave, and to do the work of Shaitan, if you want to call it Shaitan, or the work of Isfit. So you're not going to find African voodoo that has been taken to the Americas to commit genocide on the indigenous people in America. That's not what happened. So we got to judge the tree by its fruits. Africans who are traveling back and forth from the Americas since ancient Egypt. There's proof and testimonies of that. There's proof and testimonies of Mansa Abubakar, who was the predecessor of Mansa Musa, the Great of Mali, who took 500 fleets of ships and sailed to the Americas. And from that union, there wasn't colonialism, death, and genocide. There was an intermingling and a great civilization, which was developed at the same time. So we've got to understand that divination is really and truly understanding how nature communicates and the creator communicates with man in signs and symbols so that we can have a better understanding of things in our lives.
That sounds, that is marvelous. Sometimes I go in a meditation and I'm just like marveled at just the science of everything around us.
Mm.
I mean, the blatant thing, yes, we have computers, but just everything, even a chair or the weaving of materials, or how did we know this science, how to put it together? It's absolutely inspired. It is absolutely divine. So it is divine. Like it's miraculous. It's beautiful, but we are aligned and 93rd aligned at that, right? So that's good. You
Shay.
know, So, I wanna I think we can let's just check with Shayna if there's any questions from the audience at this time. We could open it up to the audience. You can put in your questions, those that are on Instagram,
There's
those
a
that are on
question
Facebook.
on the screen. Do you see it, Sharon? Can you see the
Okay.
question on the screen? From Zimo Haley? Zinmo
Yes,
Haley.
I do. I do. Okay, so how do you this is from Zimo Haley. How do you take care of your mental health during stressful times? Oh, that's a
Greetings,
great question. I'm blind.
Zinat is a good very is yeah. Greetings, Zinat. Yeah. So in the mental health thing, I think that for me, it's meditation and rituals and writing. Like they're all medicine, they're all healing. So getting into these different modalities enable you to let go. I mean, self care, wellness. I mean, it's key. People nowadays, unfortunately, working more than they live. Right? They're trying to make ends meet, and they're going through their life, and like they say, they haven't really lived anything. So I think for me, it's meditation mostly, but also qigong, very key. The martial arts are very key to establishing and reducing yeah, anything related to stress reactions, and also connecting with the source, through rituals as well, and African modalities of connecting to the source, rituals, chanting, meditation, drumming. Drumming is very good as well. You know, connecting with the ancestors, reading as well, especially when it's texts which are really inspired, like texts like Omutondi Kalala, Sekanta Diop, people who really have a deep understanding of the universe, and who provide us with these tools. Also, deep breathing. Deep breathing is key. Low abdominal breathing, that can zap the stress reactions from within your spirit, and enable you to have more clarity. But I think the thing with the emotions is that they blind you from living your truth and being your divine being, and try to enslave you to the lower self lots of times, and that could lead you down the wrong alley.
I'm glad that you addressed that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Here's another question coming in. What do you think of the future? What do you think of the future?
I have in my poem that there is no future. There's just is now, and it's a combination of different nows of ifs and thens. So I think that as long as we have our divinity, our peace within, no matter what they throw out at us, whether it's south of the border with the type of Trumponomics stuff going on, whether it's the ultra conservatism, we've got to remember, and it's said in the temples, know thyself, in our ancient temples. Know thyself. We know a lot about others. We might know about Europeans. We might know about this. We might know about that. We might know about other things. But we need to know ourselves and the essence of ourselves, that divine essence of ourselves, so that regardless what happens, we always have that divinity to tap into and that inner peace. And in the future, if we get more into knowing thyself, then there will be more self-actualization of our divinity. Like I say in the song "Eyes" on my YouTube, if you ever want to check it out. We are who we've been waiting for, and it's time for us to self-actualize.
Mhm. Okay, another question is coming again from Joy. What do you think of all of the sorry, what do you think the future holds for all the colonized minds who continues to evade them African spirituality?
Oh, for the colonized minds. Well, I think that when you're backed up against a corner, it seems like a rat and stuff like that. You got to find something. Meaning that I think people have been trying Western ways and approaches for a very long time, and it has been bringing nothing but misery to lots of people, nothing but misery and abomination. So I think that at this point in time, even the New Age stuff, it's really a recycled African stuff that is coming up. The New Age stuff, which lots of young, Europeans are getting into. This is a New Age stuff, which is our stuff, which we need to reconnect with. So I'm hopeful that Africans are going to take the uh, take the road back home, you know, despite the diversions, because who they're imitating is trying to imitate us more and more, and therefore they can eventually find that even when you go, like for example, you go to Asia, all the Buddhas are black would not be here. So there are things there which are indicators to us of who we truly are. You go to ancient Egypt, you see all the statues, they're us. There's no way you can hide, even the Sphinx. That's why they blew off the lips of the Sphinx and the nose mostly. So we see these things coming back. So I think that Nater and the divine traditions are coming back, and we just need to be enhancers through art and people who promote and push these new ways, which are really the old ways. Because as the Dogon says, um, Western civilization, they're children of the moon. They only can do nothing but reflect the light of the sun. And if we look at the sun of this world, it's African civilization, and the great mothers and the great bearers of our ancestral ways.
Beautiful. So, Patty, I wanted to just touch base. Oh, I see another question coming in. From Zaman Ali. Um, what advice would you give to young people who want to improve their health and their future?
I once again I would tell them to improve their health, get into the martial arts, get deeply into something which is um, easing that mental anguish, right? Because there's lots of anguish nowadays. Get out of the social media addictions, get into real things and real people. The good things with the martial arts is that it gives you a place, a dojo. And the dojo you think is the temple you go to, but this is the real dojo, right? And if you understand martial arts, the dojo is right here. And so you're practicing your own self discipline within your own dojo, right? You're practicing the virtues of kindness, gentleness, peace, harmony, control, and all these virtues. And these virtues can really be liberating. And I know that the real authentic martial artists are very peaceful people who never use their aggression to bully, but use the forces they learn to better understand who they are and better leverage all the different faculties, all the different virtues within their spirit.
That's something that I do definitely see in you, Unblind. Very peaceful. I've never actually seen you angry once. I'm not saying that you can't be, but it is a pleasure to be around. That Zen, and that example of just what it just really is walking in your I am and who you are. You had a most release latest visual release is Patio. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
And that resonated with me. But if you could tell our listeners a little bit about the story behind the project, the video. So you have just to give you guys a little bit of insight. So I'm blind. We said earlier, he's a spoken word artist, but he's award winning. But then he's most recently in this time of the digital age, he's actually been releasing a lot of videos. I may call it not poetry, but a spoken word. What would you call it in Sierra Leone? What do they
Oh, I
call
would
it?
just call it Afro beats, spoken words to
Afro
Afro beats.
beats. Yeah, man.
There's some
So
gumbe in there too. Gumbe is the traditional music rhythm from Sierra Leone with the drums. The gumbe.
okay, the drumming. All right. So this here is so it's Afro beats. If you could just tell us a little bit about the story behind the project.
Oh yeah,
Adio.
thanks. Yeah, Padio. It's really a story, a heart wrenching story of deception and how people pretend to be what they are not in order to take advantage of others, and really talks a little bit about gaslighting, about creating false images of who you are. And Padio you wisted ado, it just means that your behind has been exposed, meaning that you cannot hide who your true self for long. It comes out eventually, and the ugliness of what you do eventually comes to the fore. And at the end of the day, we just leave Creator to give you whatever you merit in your life. but you cannot escape the fact that lies and deception always add up to harming you, not only the people you intend to harm, but also yourself. So that was the aim behind the project. It was a hard learned experience where there was some deception, some deceit, and some fakeness. But at the end of the day, um, we're all at peace, and things have escalated to a higher plane. And of course, the good thing is that we're never alone. The ancestors are always there, so there's always witnesses to everything that's going on within our lives. And at the end of the day, if we live according to our ancestral tradition, then, as they say in Sierra Leone, water we not for you, it not go run past you. That means what it was meant to be for you, you're always going to end up by drinking it. It's not going to flow past you.
Okay, I love that. I love that. So, over the past 25 years, what has art taught you about healing, identity, and community?
Art has taught me that we need art to heal. When I went to that tough episode I talked to you about with that patio song, I think that Afrobeat was really a great part of my healing because it connected me to my indigenous language, which is Creole, and it felt like I was speaking to my ancestors, like my grandmother, my grandfather, and that's why I've included them in this next album, which will coming out by the end of next this year, called Yasso, which means here, Yasso in Creole, and it talks about how Sierra Leone needs to things we can do for Sierra Leone to move forward. But yeah, I think music is healing. Music, dance, song, poetry. In ancient African traditions, we didn't take it very lightly. We wouldn't program all the negative stuff, which the Western person likes to program, the advertising, sex, guns, and everything else. We would take it very seriously, and we would understand that, you live and inherit your lyrics, right? So you speak your lyrics, and then you got to live them eventually. I mean, like you look at artists like Biggie with "Ready to Die," and you see all these things that are happening. But you got to really understand that it's very dangerous for you to be putting out very questionable messages for the children, for yourself, and you inherit those messages. So art at its highest form is the healing of the masses, and if we listen to the really good art, it can take you into a trance where you connect with the divinity, and your divine essence can be magnified. And that's what really artists at the highest level, I think, will do. They'll connect you to your divine essence and resonate at a high frequency so that you can grow spiritually through interacting, interfacing with that art. And it can be an enhancer of your divine growth. So that for me is what it does. And like I said, it's very healing and very nurturing. And it really is something which in our African tradition we've always used. Dancing was not just for the sake of shaking your booty. Dancing was also healing. The shaking, the everything we were
Absolutely.
doing was very healing and nurturing to our souls.
Absolutely. Souls, our bodies, it's just everything.
Yeah,
Movement is everything. Oh, this
100%.
has been great. We have another question that came in from Joy. Do you have any knowledge on the cosmic time line and how it influences the planet?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the different ages. I think she's talking about the different ages. Different ages which we're
The
the movement
timelines?
and different timelines. And I know the Aquarian age and the Piscean age and all the different ages we've gone through. But going through the Osirian age, which we're going through, the Aquarian age, is the age of oneness, coming back together, and coming back together with the unity of all things and being one with our divinity. So we're looking forward in this age to unleash all the fetters of negative conditioning and to really have the truth of who we are. And the truth of who we are is that we're, in our tradition, Auser, or the unity of all things is within the Auser, the God man and the God woman, who has been able to understand that every experience in life is there to bring you wisdom and power. And the way in which you tap into the wisdom and power is that your ability to be at peace with those experiences, which is a work in progress because you need to work on your peace. And when that peace is there, then you can accumulate wisdom and power from all those experiences. All those experiences can further your divinity until you connect to your divine essence. And also, your divine ancestors are there to assist you along the way. So, you always want to tap into that.
I'm glad that question was asked. And, so we've touched a little bit on what's upcoming. An album, you say, eh? An album. So from we were doing singles, now it's an album. This is lovely. And then I'm curious to know, like, have you, like, who's your team? I know we were going to go into depth. We have a little bit of time to squeeze in.
Okay?
But like, so because I've noticed that since you've been in Africa, you've been going back and forth. I see the videos getting stronger and stronger. Who have you been working with? Like, I mean, is it Sierra Leone fam? Like, who have you been
Uh,
working with?
not,
By the
not,
way, I'm one of the actors in one of his
yes,
videos.
yes, giddy body. Okay.
Anybody?
You
um,
play a prime role, Sebek's
the
role.
back, yes. So,
Yeah,
yeah. So, do you have any workshops or projects or that you want to share a little bit before we go? Some shout outs, you
yeah. I'd like to
know?
give a shout out to my queen Zinat, who's been in there asking some questions. Thank you
Oh,
for
she has some more questions. Yes.
yeah, and the fact that she's awake at this time in Ethiopia is very great because she's all the way in
Okay.
Ethiopia. So shout out to my queen there. Shout out to my mom who's going to be listening tomorrow. She said, "Oh, it's a little late. Like it's 3 o'clock Central time." I said, "Okay, well, we'll send it to you." And the family, the
Yes.
Sierra Leone family who've been listening, shout out to them. In terms of Sierra Leone, I'll focus more when I go to Sierra Leone this year on the new album and getting some videos when I go then. So I'm going to be going there for the end of September for Truth and Reconciliation Day all the way till Thanksgiving. That's the time we plan for our trips to Sierra Leone. So that's
Okay.
it. In terms of shows, I am going to be at Habari Festival this weekend on the Saturday at 3 o'clock performing with Jacko Bako from Cameroon. And I'll be just telling stories from my book, African Ancestral Manuscript. Stories about, people like Bai Bure, who is one of the famous heroes of Sierra Leone, and people like Sing Bepie. Of course, we all know him from the Amistad. So I'll be telling stories about that and doing some giddy body, some music. So looking forward to that. And then I'm going to be doing something for Rasta Fest. I'm probably going to be leading some
Okay.
qigong or some healing movements because there's a healing segment to Rasta Fest this year. So I'll be there as well. And those are the two things which are coming up soon for me in August. Nothing more in August per se.
Okay. Okay. That
For
sounds
Lady
great.
Sunday, as you know, Lady Sharon, we do have our qigong as well. So if any of
Yes,
you
that's what I was
want
gonna
to do the
say. So
qigong,
yeah, every Sunday I'm gonna do some shout outs right now still, but every Sunday at 6 to 7 p.m. you can actually join online or in person with Blind Tibbin at then in Little Jamaica at Eglinton West at Studio M,
yes,
where we do qigong and meditation. I mean, I try to grab in. The one thing I've learned though about meditation, how powerful it is that when used and not as a ritual, like just boom boom, you're in out. Because this is what I was doing, and I panicked and I jumped into qigong. I was trying to get into it last week and this
yes,
week, and I was like, oh, now I realized that I needed it because I was getting into a big venture, and
okay.
I couldn't see I'm blind. I couldn't
Mhm.
see,
Hmm.
right, and I wasn't really giving that full on moment to just trust the meditation, and I realized how powerful and needed it was, to just be able to calm and look
Yes.
at it. I won't lie, I think it saved my life.
Mm.
After all the chaos that I experienced at Caravan. But
Mm.
I could tell you, I really wish that I had put in more effort into my meditation because using it last year, it was phenomenal. Like just, that consistency and just knowing how to see and just it was just fluid. It was nice. And
Mm.
then all of a sudden, I guess I was in my own head and my calculations and my own emotions, as you said earlier, about the emotions. And, like even in our conversation today, what do you want our listeners to walk away with, you know, um, from
Mm.
this conversation today?
Yeah, I think I want them to walk away with the notion that within them is a plethora of tools that they can employ for their divinity to rise. And to know thyself is key. No matter what tradition you get into, any African tradition, whether it's the Dogon, the Yoruba, the Kemetic, even the Rasta tradition, whatever tradition you get into the core of that tradition, where the real core and essence of it is developing the Christ consciousness within each one of us so that our divinity can shine and we can be lights for our community. There's more need for light now in this dark world than ever before. I find that wickedness is taken is more bold, right? It's more bold and it's more outright. So there's more need for us as enlightened people to tap into the tools which our ancestors used to build the great pyramids, to build the great monoliths, to build the great Knox civilization. And I kid you not, all over Africa, they're wonderful civilizations. And the reason you know that these civilizations are great is that all the artwork was stolen, and most of the European museums and now have them on displays. And they tell you you're a barbarian. All this thing is garbage. Now give me all your artwork so I can put it in a museum. So it just doesn't make any sense. But there has been attempts by African governments to get back all their cultural heritage, and there's been movement and traction in that vein. And we need to also have movement and traction to reclaim not only those physical but also our spiritual tools as well, so that we can use them in our day-to-day lives to be better people and to perform alchemy, not transforming base metals to gold, but mere mortals to divine beings and God men and God women. And I'm not saying that we are all powerful over everybody, but at least we have dominion over our temple, and we have the ability
Yes,
to use our temple for good.
absolutely. That's amazing. I want to do some shout outs before we go. I want to shout out to Mr. Kane. Mr. Kane is a juice bar, natural juice bar, 2835 Weston Road. They are newly opened there at 2835 Weston Road. We can get the best of natural juices from sour sap, all backed with the cane juice, fresh coconut water, you name it, mango juice, beetroot juice. It's all there. You can find that at Mr. Kane at 2835 Weston Road and at Westwood Mall. I also want to give a shout out to the Green and White annual dinner. It's on Saturday, August 15th, 2026. And you can find out more about that at Taste Seduction. And yeah, you can find that also on tasteseduction.ca. So, sorry, pardon me, tasteseductioneats.ca. And then lastly, shout out to Rich Traditions, the Lux Tropical Night Market that's taking place at Fairbank Station this Friday, August the 7th. Yeah, check it out. Look out for
Mm.
the Rich Traditions right there at Fairbank Station. It's going to be a beautiful night market full of our traditional desserts. I'm going to be pressing sugar cane out there, some natural juices, a little sorrel, all kind of thing, and good music, good people. It's great vibes. So come and check out the night market. And I'm blind. I mean, I'm so happy to have you here. It's been a minute since we've had an interview. Oh, we got another question coming in from Zaman Ali. What inspired you to become the person who you are today? Yeah.
Oh, I think the ancestors. Like I'm very inspired by my grandmother, by my African tradition, by my. I know some people think this is taboo, but my past existences that connect to this existence, because in the African understanding there's no death, there's life, and there's life, and there's more life, and there's transition. So people also like Sheikh Anta Diop, the great Senegalese who connected us to our blackness in ancient Egypt. Amotandi Kalala, who's a great Guadeloupean brother who also took in the lineage of Sheikh Anta Diop, but recently transitioned. So he's a wonderful brother. If ever you get the chance to listen to him, Omotunde Kalala. Of course, the greats like Malcolm X, like Steve Biko, like Thomas Sankara. Going back to Imhotep, who was the first doctor, Senmut, who was one of the first architects, Hatshepsut, the great woman king, the Candace queens. We can go on. Of course, I talked about Sundiata Keita, the Lion King, Mansa Musa, the great, Queen Amina Zaria, the great Hausa woman. Then there's also Queen Sarawinia of Niger, who defeated the French, Queen Nzinga, who defeated the Portuguese. Then, of course, there's Menelik the Great, who defeated the Italians. Our history of victory. Setawayo, the Zulu warrior who defeated the British. We need to know Nani of the Maroons who defeated the British as well. All the wonderful people and ancestors who are walking with us. Let us walk with those wonderful ancestors and with our Creator. And if we walk with the Creator and the ancestors, there's nothing they can do to us which we cannot find a way to deal with. And not only to deal with, but to use it to enhance ourselves and to make ourselves better and to make more light be visible to our community, our children, and our families. Ashe.
Wow, I'm blind, but that's such a simple question. What inspired you to become the person who you are? And you could share, when you shared all those names, all those people that you have are, and ancestors that you've researched and learned about. There's so much zeal. You could feel the vibration that they are like that you're connected to them as you call off their names. It's such a powerful energy to witness that just now experienced.
Ashe.
I'm inspired. Like I know some of them, but not all of them. But just zeal alone says how great they are and how much energy they give you and support you.
And a shameless plug, if you like them, they're all in the African Ancestral Manuscript. And the aim of the manuscript, which I wrote, is for you to connect with them on that personal level. So it's written in the first person so that you can see their experience, not from a colonizer's lens, but more from a more authentic lens, whereby which their struggles and their greatness is emphasized rather than the need to colonize and dominate them and to justify the evil which was done to them. So that's the way we got to roll nowadays, because lots of history is written from a colonial pen, colonial mind, and it creates history of leading us to feel that we're defeated, right? That we were always defeated and we were always worthless. But when we change things around, like they say, until the lion learns to speak, the tales of the hunt will always favorize the hunter. But when the lion learns to speak, the hunter every once in a while will be lunch, dinner, or just a little snack.
And this is something serious because right now we're seeing right here in Toronto where our youth are just they need this wisdom. They seem I don't even know if they're empty, but they're full of rage.
Mm,
Um, they I don't think they like themselves. They're
yes.
jumping on each other and beating up each other, strangers, getting off on this, podcasting this. I thought this was like just a myth. I have a nephew that did being black in Toronto, and I didn't agree with everything that he said, and this is what he might have seen,
Mm,
and I really feel there's a need for our young people to be able to tap into just meditation, knowing their history, feeling that zeal and goodness about themselves instead of all this rage and violence. It's really serious, you
and I think
know.
that's why it's good for us to use those tools like Afrobeat, the tools which people are very close to in their heart, to put some messages which are going to enhance their divine
Mhm.
faculties and just lead them to questioning some of the drivel and stuff. Because the thing about truth is that it always overshines lies, and that the lies are only short lived compared to truth. That's why artists like Bob Marley and people, we listen to them forever. And artists who are just talking buffoonery, they might have like maybe a few months at best, but then you forget about them completely and you never remember anything that they did because it didn't speak to your spirit like it should. Something that speaks to your spirit is eternal. That's what we call ma'at in our tradition, and ma'at is eternal. That's the feather.
Uh, well, I'm blind. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and experiences and your journey with us today. Your commitment to the culture, the education, I should say correct that your commitment to heritage, education, martial arts, and spoken word continues to inspire the communities around the world. And I want to thank for everyone who tuned in today, from locally and abroad, all the way in Africa. Um, just thank you for joining us. And until next time, continue to live with purpose and embrace your journey and creating positive change. Until next time, it's Lady S signing out with I'm Blind.
Peace and blessings. Hotel.
One love. One love.